Welcome back to Hematite Homestead. I got my pallet firing barn build ready to put roof on it. We're not going to get any work done today. The weatherman's gone for about 3 inches of snow today. I thought what I would do today is take you on a little pallet tour at Hematite Homestead. Major, she's not playing with you. She wants you to leave her baby alone. Major, all right, let's go. She ain't playing. She's not playing. She don't want to play. The little baby plays. She don't want to play. She wants you to go away. Come on, let's go. Come on, get. This is where our pallet firing barn stands right now. I made pretty good headway on it this weekend. It didn't have any cameras out. It was super windy. And I already had my cameras falling down and getting pushed over by the wind. I didn't want to deal with that. Didn't want to break any of my equipment. So it went all weekend with no cameras. We will update you on this coming up soon. So you guys have been following us around for the last couple of years. You already know that I use pallets extensively around here. I have a pretty reliable, constant flow of pallets and use them for all kinds of stuff. This isn't an idea we came up with when we got our first two coonies. They used pallets for fences, and that sparked the interest in using pallets, using things that we can repurpose and keep from going to the dumps, and saves a lot of money. All right, I'm in the boys' pasture. This used to be a combination pasture. We had it split between girls and boys. We had pallet fence that went up through here. We've since done away with that and opened it up into one big pasture. This was our very first ever pallet build. All right, so lighting not very good in here, but essentially what we did is we took the big 68 by 68 pallets and we just stood them up, connected them at the corners, and put a roof on it. And this was our very first build. And this is where our first two coonies, Poppy and Oliver, lived. We sided this building with 1 inch by, I don't think they were like 10-inch boards, and did a kind of board and batten side on it, painted it up. But again, this was before we ever got the notion of siding with pallet wood, which we probably would have done, and used these 1-bys for better use someplace else. All right, a pallet toy for the goats. And we actually have 2 of these. We'll look at the nicer one, which is over in a girls' pasture, not used by them over there. Maybe one day I'll bring it over here to the goats. Goats hang out with the boys to be companions. And the reason we don't keep them with the girls is because they like to butt them once in a while. And girls are pregnant portions of the year, and we don't want to risk any damage to them. So goats hang out here with the boys, and the boys can hold their own against them fellas. So basically what I did is I made an A-frame, put boards on top of it, and the goats like to climb up on here and sleep on it and play. This is pallet 2. They don't use that much anymore, but they would get down here and run up and go up that and hang out all up around in there. Hey, look here, more pallets. So what we did here was the sun sets in the evenings, comes up through here and sets back in there, and it was really hot, and this is where the wallow was, and it was direct sunlight on the wallow, kept the wallow dried up, kept it warm over here. So we basically put these up for shade. And all I did here, stand one up, stood this one up, screwed them together, got T-posts on both sides to make it stable, and a little brace in the middle. And we had these fence panels that were bought for a different project that never took place, laid around for about 2 years, and we just put them up on top of that. That provides a nice shady spot for the wallow here. Obviously no water in the wallow right now, but in the summertime there is. All right, into boys' pasture, we grow some vegetables right here in this part you see behind me. Got some cattle panels up here, keep the pigs out so they don't eat all of our vegetables that we're trying to grow, and got a little bit of pallet fence on it. All right, this pallet fence isn't one that I'm most proud of. It needed to serve a practical purpose. And basically they're all just stood up, not posted in the ground at all. And I went every pallet and put these braces in on both sides to keep the pigs from knocking it over. And the reason I had to go up so high is because the goats will leap right over top of it and get in here and eat my pumpkins and whatever we're growing in here. I got pallets on both sides of this, and cattle panel runs up through here. So you see here, no panels here. We open this up and let the pigs go in here and clean it out after the harvest. And they do a really good job of that. Plus they fertilize it a little bit. So here's the other end of these pallets, built exactly the same. This kind of reminds me of old farms you might run up against in a Civil War era type of stuff. I know they didn't have these back then, but that's what it reminds me of. So this was our very first ever farrowing area. And these pallets are, again, stuck on the ground, but instead of the bracing like we did down there, this was first edition. Put panels in between like this to hold all of this up. And it works really well. The problem with this is the goats can climb up on here and get in it. We don't care if they're in this area, but for over there at my garden, that's no good. This has been here for several years, and it just kind of ended up staying. We don't really need it anymore, but there's no reason for us to really take it down. We do feed the boars separately. The two little ones eat in here, and the two big ones eat out on the other side. So it does provide us a little bit of a space for isolation. All right, fast forward about 6 months maybe. Maybe it wasn't that long. I don't really remember. We added pigs to the herd, needed a bigger house. This was addition number 2 of pallet housing. What you doing, Simon? What are you doing, buddy? All right, so we did the exact same thing in here, but bigger. We stood the pallets up, anchored them together with each other, and made a bigger house and put a roof on it. I did put a top plate on in here because these pallets were spread out a little bit and need something to tie them all together. And this is where all these boys hang out most of the time. Okay. All these things in the boys' pasture used to be the combined pasture for boys and girls, split down the middle so they couldn't mate with each other when we didn't want them to. This is all first edition stuff. Many years ago, took on all this, and since we made some improvements to some things we do and made things a little bit better. Right, this was one of our very first pallet builds, and we basically did the same thing on this that we're doing on the pallet barn. Built this floor, got it all leveled out, and then stood up pallets for the walls. So let's go inside and take a look. All right, ignore the mess in here, please, but this is kind of where everything gets thrown when I get done doing projects, and I really need to come in here and do a clean out. So you see the pallets here. These are the 68 by 68 pallets, and lagged them to the floor, stood them all up, and put some bracing in the corners. And I built this little stub wall on the top of it, which is where I connected. I had several shed kits that we hadn't used over the years, and I connected all the shed kit to this little stub wall to put the roof on it. This took me about 4 days to build, probably. It went up pretty quick. I came back after the fact and put T111 siding on it, and this is before we realized that we could use pallet boards for siding. I probably wouldn't have put all that expense into this had that crossed our minds prior to building this. The barn rehab project started off with the chicken coop. We wanted to put the chickens in here. We got this coop over here. That we built for housing young birds in. But we wanted to get them out of the elements at night and away from predators. And these are all pallet planking boards off of the 68 by 68 pallets. We just ripped them all off with the nails and put them on the side of the building here. Some of you might remember the Hey Y'all project. This is not a pallet project. We built this out of an old deck that a buddy at work gave me that he was getting rid from his house, but it is pallet sided and the doors are made with pallets. So this started off as a barn rehab project before we got the deck, and again, this is all planking boards off of those pallets, and we sided the barn with it. This is a project that's gone multiple years. And it's been really hard to find the time to come back and finish it. So all this pallet siding, again, the structure is not built with pallets. We built that out of an old deck. And you can see here, we've never come back and finished the pallet barn rehab project, but it is on my list. I don't know when we'll get to it. Got a lot of other things to do. Built these doors out of pallet wood. These are the pallet planks and 2x6s that were left over from the decking that we used in here, and just built doors out of all this. And this is pallet wood here out of a different style pallet. All this. And here's what it looks like inside. This is the back side to the barn. And pallet wood all through here. All these 2x4s that you see in here that we use for attaching pallets to, those came off of pallets. All these through here. And need to get some lights in here. Coming up on our farrowing barn right now. We built this 4 years ago, and this was primarily used out of repurposed materials from a capital project and some wood from the lumber mill next door. We did side it with pallets, and this time we tried to do kind of a vinyl lap siding, and I probably won't ever do that again. But what we found is that the boards warp a little bit and can't really handle it. You see where some have already come off of there. I think we'll stick to the board and batten style application from now on. But that's the only pallets in this. The main feature to this farrowing barn and farrowing yard is this pallet fence that we put up. And I tried to make it look good, and we made big time improvements on the way we were using pallets for fencing. Now this fence right here, when we first did this, we had all kinds of people telling us it won't last, it'll rot, it'll get weathered, it won't last. It's not treated wood. But our position on that was, hey, we got these for free. And if they rot, they get worn out, they get deteriorated, we'll yank these panels out and put a new one right in its place. Again, so far, this has been here for 4 years, and it's not showing any sign of needing replaced anytime soon. So this is all on YouTube. Here a while back, we built some of this fence. It's all up here. We'll go take a look at it in a minute. And basically what I did was put a piece of PEX on here at the corner here and the corner here with the natural arc, and then made a line and cut it out, and came up with a beautiful fence. And this fence has been here for 4 years. This fence has 4x4s, are actually concreted in the ground. This is more of a permanent. All right, this pallet fence build is exactly the same as the other. We built them the exact same way. However, this is not permanent. What we did was put feet on the bottom of them. And these are 2x6s that were left over from some other projects or reclaimed from stuff. A lot of it is from the deck material we got that we built a hay yaw barn with. And so I just set these down on the ground, and the pigs can't push them over, and they're each screwed to each other, give it a little bit more stability. Now, this is a really good example of how you can make pallet fencing look very attractive. especially for something that's out here next to the road. And I didn't want to put just pallets connected to each other. I wanted it to look halfway decent. You could come through here and stain these, paint them, do whatever you wanted to do, and make them look even better than this. But this suits our purposes pretty well. And the nice thing about this is I can come through here and take the screws out between each pallet, and we pick them up, and we have done this, and just move them to a different location and screw them back together, set them back on the ground. These pallets used to be sitting way over here where we had the little weaner piglets that we didn't want to integrate with the big herd, but we wanted some fence time with the big herd. So we put the pallets down there up against the fence, and it kept the pigs in a confined area and gave them some fence time to meet the big herd. And after about 2 weeks of that, then we put them in the big pasture. So for right now, these pallets are staying behind me here. We had them in there for breeding purposes right now. Whoops. And this little house back there is mainly pallets. I think I used some other materials for that as well. And that was just to give the breeding pair we had in there a place to get out of the weather and sleep at night in a warm little place. All right, here's the other playhouse I was telling you about. It's built exactly the same. It's just an A-frame. I put them up against each other, put a board on top to connect the two, and some bracing, and I gave them some steps where they can climb up the top. And this one has a slide. This slide was given to us from a friend, and I've yet to see a goat on this. Of course, the goats don't have this now. It's in the girl pasture with no goats. And from time to time, you'll see some of the girl pigs will be up underneath it here to get out of the weather. But I probably should move this over with the goats and see if they'll like to enjoy to play with it. These are really basic pallet shelters. I wouldn't call these houses, but they're basically just shelters to get the pigs out of the weather. Most of the housing down here is made out of these boxes that I bring home from work when they have the projects that use these boxes. And this one right here is a pallet build. Nothing special about that. We just put it up, stand them up. I put a little roof on it and some siding to keep the wind out from it. And all this siding was repurposed. This backside here, we had it full of hay to keep the wind out of it, and I need to go back in there and redo that. We had some insulation in there, and pigs tore it off, so probably won't go that route anymore. My son gave me a shout out on his YouTube channel here about 2 weeks ago, and I told him I would do the same. He's got a vlogging channel where he just does everyday life stuff. If you like to watch things like that, mostly entertainment level stuff. He's gone to some wrestling events and things like that. It's Steven with the V. Here's what his logo looks like. And I'll put a link in the description, and you go over and check his channel out. All right, so that's a good look at what we do with pallets around here. Always trying to be creative and innovative and figure out more ways to use these things. I keep a pretty steady supply of them here all the time. This box back here is what we collected pumpkins in back over the fall. Pallets that are old and don't have much life left in them or have already served a good purpose here. Sometimes I'll cut those up and use them for kindling to get my maple evaporator burning really well, and they're pretty good for that. I've had people tell me I should sell pallets, and I'm not doing that. There's no way that I would take advantage of somebody that's providing me something that I don't pay a dime for. The only thing it costs me is the effort to get them here to the farm, and there's no way I would ever do that. And I also don't buy pallets. As long as I have a steady stream of pallets and my source is pretty reliable, so I will never buy pallets either. I did call Tractor Supply one time. Been multiple years ago before I knew that I could get these and ask about pallets. I was like, oh no, we got to send those back. And they had thousands of pallets stuck behind the building. They'd been there for as long as I can remember. I was like, yeah, you're not sending those back anywhere. But whatever. But after that, I was talking to a coworker and they were loading up pallets to take them home. I was like, what? They get pallets away? Well, yeah, they go to the dump. So here they are. It's kind of a running joke at work. Every time somebody sees me bring my trailer in, they want to know, Steve's getting pallets, Steve's getting pallets. Well, yeah, we do a lot with them up here. Haven't done any of the fancy furniture building or anything like that, but maybe someday we'll go down that road. All right, thanks a lot for coming along with me on my pallet tour at Hematite Homestead. Hit that subscribe button and follow along with the Fairing Barn pallet build. Don't forget to look for Hematite Homestead on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and we'll see you next time.